Hey everyone, Old Timer here with a new video. This one's a little different from my decade review and year review video, which I uploaded last week. This video is going to cover a few of my favorite books that have inspired my imagination since I was a little one up until now. And I thought I'd share those stories with you, a little bit about the book. So the first book that I read as a child that started to inspire my imagination to everything fantasy and sci-fi and all that was actually this book, The Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. A great read, a great story, a great classic. Everything from the snow setting to the world to everything about it. It just inspired my imagination. I read it front to back again and again and again as a kid. I wasn't exposed to too much TV as a little one. It was more I was reading more than I was watching and playing with my mates. But this is a great story. Let me read you the first synapse of it. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. So, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We've fallen on our feet, and no mistake. This is going to be perfectly splendid. That old chap will let us do anything we like, said Peter to Susan, Edmund and Lucy. The old professor did not seem to live in a world of his own, so the children set about finding their own entertainment. In the huge old house, set miles from anywhere in the heart of the county, first there was the simply thrilling business of exploring the house. Long corridors, endless spare bedrooms, series of rooms lined with books, and one very bleak, enormous room that had nothing in it but a very large wardrobe. This, thought Lucy, was worth examining, as she was pushing her way through the rows of coats hanging up inside. She felt something soft and powdery and extremely cold. Then she noticed something cold and soft falling on her, and she found she was standing in the middle of a wood at night time with snow under her feet and snowflakes falling through the air. Lucy had arrived in the strange, magical land of Narnia. Now, how can that not capture an 7-8-year-old's imagination? I do not know, but this enthralled me. So The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe opened up my imagination to heights I had not known before. And this made me want to play fantasy or be in that fantasy world. So I begged my mum. It was in Woolworths, long gone, in a high street back in London when I was very little. Begged her to get me this book, The Dungeons of Torgar. It's a role-playing book where you roll dice and you select what page to go through, and then that unravels your adventure. I did not play it that much, but from what I did, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But this helped broach my way into, I could play fantasy games. That's not just in my imagination, but I could actually buy and read and interact with something that someone else created, which blew me away also. Now, leading on to that, into school was actually the next book that really, I guess it inspired me to like more of the villains in these cases, because they're more three-dimensional, they have more depth to them. I believe they have more of an arc when needed. And that book is by, I'm afraid to say, Shakespeare. And it is Othello. I love this book. I can't say I've read it, multiple editions of it. Different versions. But Othello, I think, incorporates everything. Let me read you the brief excerpt from the book. So, Othello is Shakespeare's noble general who loved not wisely but too well. This is the story of his triumphs and his tragic downfall. His love for Desdemona, his fatal trust in the villainous Iago. Now, Iago is one of my favorite characters I've ever read or seen. I think his dynamic is amazing, and I highly recommend looking into, if you can, not only Othello but his story, because it enthralled me and got my love of how there's more dimensions to a character that's great than just to say, oh, he's the goody. But this guy has got shades of good, bad. So he crosses the boundary, but no, make no mistake, the guy is a villain. But I thoroughly enjoy him, and his obsessive jealousy that leads to murder and to suicide. So wow, what can you say about that? When I was reading this at school, or when I first picked it up and I read the insert or the back cover, and I read that, I was like, wow, I have to read this, and it did not disappoint. Now we've covered that, I'm going to go into more of my favourite stories. I was a little bit older when I started reading this, probably around 12, 13, and that is The Fellowship of the Ring. There's not much more I can say about this. You know the movies, you know The Hobbit. There's been enough TV coverage of this, but The Fellowship of the Ring, I highly recommend picking up and reading it. Then The Two Towers, and then The Return of the King. If you want to start with Hobbit before that. Of course, all great books, all inspiring to me. And again, I'm a fan of the villainous Sauron, but I enjoyed the build up to what led to his end. A great book, a great story. Now, one that I'm absolutely passionate about is this next book. It's by Anne Rice. You may know her from Interview with the Vampire and her story is The Mummy. But my favorite book of hers by none is The Vampire Lestat. This is a great book. It basically, let me read you the start here. Lestat, the hero of the Anne Rice's thrilling new novel, is a creature of the darkest and richest imagination. Once an aristocrat in the heady days of pre-revolutionary France, now a rock star in the demonic, shimmering 1980s. He rushes through the centuries in search of others like him, seeking answers to the mysteries of his eternal, terrifying existence. So it tells the story of Lestat, from how he was a noble to where he was taken and against his will transformed, as you will, into a vampire. This is him trying to seek out his meaning in the world and find out why he is what he is, and what is he going to become. A great book, great adventure, and it leads to my next couple of favourite books from Anne Rice's Tales of the Body Thief and Memnoch the Devil. Highly recommended reads. Thoroughly enjoy it. My next one delves a little bit in science fantasy, and that is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, or better known in the movie realms as Blade Runner by Philip K. Dick. This book, I cannot recommend it highly enough for those who enjoy reading sci-fi. Let me read you a brief excerpt from the beginning. So that's how the largest manufacturer of androids operates, Rick said to himself. Devious in a manner he had never encountered before. A weird and convoluted new personality type. No wonder law enforcement agencies were having trouble with the Nexus 6. The Nexus 6, he had now come up against it. Rachel, he realized. She must be a Nexus 6. I'm seeing one of them for the first time. They damn near did it. They came awfully close to undermining the Volt-Conf scout, the only method we have for detecting them. The Rosen Association does a good job, makes a good try anyhow at protecting its products. And I have to face 6 more of them, he reflected, before I'm finished. He would earn the bounty money every cent, assuming he made it out alive. A great book, great undertones of what could happen, what might happen. Highly recommend, a great read. Now delving on a little bit more to popular culture, and again sci-fi, but more in the horror realms, is the book by John W. Campbell. And if you know who that is, he wrote Who Goes There? And if anyone knows the movies that this was based on, The Thing from the 1950s, and then The Thing remake in 82. Both wonderful movies. Both great movies. The Thing from 82 is perhaps my favorite horror sci-fi movie. With one exception, it's probably the original Alien, which I love that movie also. I have to put Alien and The Thing in the echelons of sci-fi horror. That I don't think any movie since those two have come close to leaving that kind of legacy that those two achieved when they first got released. Who Goes There? Again, I highly recommend it. Check out the movies also if you have not read them. Next book is this one just got redone by Steven Spielberg, and that is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Not much I can say about this. If you love the 80s, and if you like popular culture, from the music to the video games to the arcades from that genre and time, then I highly recommend you grabbing that book. But those are just a few of what inspires my imagination, what I like to read, what influences my decisions when it comes, to playing games, or what grabs my attention, and also, what I like to watch on, for movies and TVs. I'm babbling a bit now, but those are my favorite books. My next video, I'll probably be covering a few of my favorite graphic novels. Again, there should be no surprise from me mentioning that. There's going to be like Aliens, The Thing, but I can branch off into what specific stories I like, and what grabs my attention with those. So I hope you enjoyed this video of a few of my favorite reads. I look forward to sharing a little bit more videos so you get to know me and my tastes a little bit better. So as you see with these games I play, and why do I play them? Well, it's because certain aspects from my youth has inspired my imagination to finally want to play these things and see these things and be interacting with them after reading some sort about them. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, check out my previous videos at Old Timers Video Gaming Corner on YouTube and on Facebook.